Hello. It's Friday. I'm CJ. This week is free week, and that means that we can talk about whatever we want. So, of course, a little bit like when someone asks you what your favourite music is, my brain kind of went, oh, I don't like anything. So I cheated, and I went back, and I went to some of the unasked? Sure, I went to the list of unasked things. Some people have sent asks and things, and if they're not particularly pressing or urgent, then I just kind of keep them there to think about what I want to do with them. And this one I thought was something I wanted to talk about, I guess. The gist of it was how did I get involved in activism, and how did I become the big giant snowflake social justice warrior that I am trying to be? My words, the question was phrased much more nicely than that. I don't have like a crystallizing, it wasn't like I woke up one day or like an event happened and I decided like this is the thing that's going to get me into activism. It was just, and I don't a lot of the time see myself as an activist because I think there are people out there who do a hell of a lot more and a hell of a lot better than I do. I think it's one of those things about like I wanted to make the world slightly better, and I wanted to address the imbalances that I saw, and I have like a hero complex that's like 12 miles wide. It just made sense for me to do something that I knew something about. So yeah, so I don't have like a big kind of impetus, if you like, or it didn't have. And then a friend of mine died, and she had been really, really informative and really provocative in getting me involved in LGBT rights, like right in the early days when I was like new on earth. And she was always there, and then she wasn't there anymore. And I think there was something in that I guess cemented the fact that like this is something that I have to do, because I know there are so many people who would and could and did do so much, and they're not around, and we've got to carry the torch for them. So that's the kind of why of how I got involved. And the hows are like a lot more basic, really. The way that you get involved is that you get involved. Like, find what's in your area, find what's in your city, find what you can do, even if that thing is like just like a little tiny thing. Or it might feel little or tiny, because sometimes you'll work out like the rest of the way when you get there. I mean, you might end up like me, where I don't know what the rest of my path looks like. I can only see about 3 paces ahead, and I know that it involves waking up and then doing some writing, and then I don't know what the third one is, but I'm positive there's a third step, and then we repeat again. The thing about activism, the thing about getting involved with stuff that you know is like broken, is that it's really difficult, and you have to make sure that you give enough time and space for yourself, and to have times and situations of where either that you practice radical self-care, that you're aware of what you're able to take on. For me, it was things like knowing that there was ways of doing things and people who did things that I was like, nope, can't be around this is too much, this is not something that I know how to handle. And really taking it from there. So in a way, it's a lot like a lot of jobs, like, and I mean, I say job, it's not a job, it's a series of things that you do, and if you're lucky, sometimes you get paid to do it. I would say that the first thing that you need to do, and that like the best, most impactful thing that I think that you can do, is probably get off the internet. And I hate to sound like an old person saying that, but it's true. And go out into the world, because the other thing that you will become aware of is the fact that life, and particularly trans activism, looks so much different face-to-face than it does online. I'm not dismissing what goes on, and I'm not dismissing things like Tumblr activism and YouTube activism. Obviously, I do think that they're important, but I think that sometimes people can think that they're important above everything else, and it's very hard to understand or know what's going on in the real world if you don't engage with it, and it's also hard to defend yourself from it. And I think certainly the minute that you decide to kind of like stick your head above the parapet and be like, okay, this is something that I want to do, and something that's important to me, I think it's important to know like where the shots are going to come from. And sometimes you'll be surprised, but it's worth being aware and being wary of, and learning how to engage, and more than anything, how to keep yourself safe in this. Because the other big thing that I will say about every single activist that I know is that really we're only activists because we are a certain way. This is who we are as people. And so the challenges that you kind of take on then are challenges towards your personhood, and they can kind of be tricky. So yeah, I guess, I mean, I know that's like, I loved that somebody asked me that, because I think it's something that's super important, and I really want to like empower, and you can totally do it. If you want to get involved in activism, and you want to get involved in making the world a better place in however you see that, do it. If you're a trans person and you don't necessarily want to get involved directly with trans activism, but you want to do something like just by existing, just being present, I think, is one of the most radical acts that you can do, and it's the bravery to do that that's changing our world. So yeah, talk to me, tell me how you're doing, and I will speak to you next week.